I had spent months planning my wedding, the dress, the flowers, the music, the perfect venue overlooking the lake. Every detail mattered, every choice deliberate. I wanted it to be a day my family and friends would remember forever. I still remember the moment I sent out the invites. There was something almost ceremonial about it. I held the envelopes in my hands, addressed each one with care, slipped in the handwritten notes, and sealed them with a small wax emblem my fiancé and I had designed together. Each invite was a little piece of our joy, a reflection of the life we were about to start. Are you sure you want to mail them today? My fiancé, Alex, asked. His eyes were soft but curious. I smiled. Absolutely. Timing matters. I want everyone to know that this is happening our day, our celebration. He nodded, trusting me, not knowing that this simple act would set off a chain reaction I could never have anticipated. The envelopes went out, and for the first week, everything felt perfect. Excitement bubbled in my chest every time the mailman came by. And then, 2 weeks later, my world shifted. The announcement was scrolling through social media one Sunday morning when I saw it, a beautifully staged photo of my younger sister, Claire, holding a sparkling engagement ring in one hand and a champagne flute in the other. The caption read, "Excited to announce our engagement. Party details coming soon, can't wait to celebrate with everyone." But it was the next line that stopped my heart. Save the date, June 12th. I froze. My wedding was June 12th. I blinked at my phone. Surely, it was a mistake. I reread the post, scrolling down to see comments of congratulations from mutual friends, coworkers, and extended family members. They were all congratulating Claire. On the same day I had sent invitations for my wedding, I felt a wave of disbelief wash over me. My stomach tightened. Was this a coincidence? A genuine oversight? I didn't know, but one thing was painfully clear. My family was now faced with 2 events on the exact same day. The silence called my mother immediately. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did you see Claire's announcement?" There was a pause, a long one. "Yes, I did," she said carefully. "She just announced it. It's exciting news." "Mom," I said, my voice rising slightly. "You know my wedding is on the same day, right?" Another pause, then, softly, "We'll see what we can do." I hung up, staring at the phone in disbelief. Not a promise, not a plan, just vague ambiguity. Over the next few weeks, I sent follow-up messages to my family, gently reminding them of the date. No one replied. Invitations arrived at their doorsteps, but the RSVPs trickled back or didn't. I had always believed that family support was a given, something that came naturally. But now, everything felt fragile, uncertain, and painfully fragile. The wedding day finally, the day arrived. I woke up early, sunlight streaming through the curtains, trying to shake the anxiety from the night before. I was nervous, yes, but mostly because I wanted everything to be perfect. Alex arrived shortly after, looking handsome and calm, a stark contrast to my jittery energy. "Everything will be fine," he said, squeezing my hand. "No matter what, we're together. That's what matters." I nodded, grateful for his reassurance. But the pit in my stomach didn't disappear. As I descended the staircase in my dress, a soft ivory gown with lace detailing and a flowing train, I noticed something odd. The chairs were set. The decorations were perfect. But the guest list, empty spaces. Too many empty spaces. My heart sank further as I scanned the faces of the few guests who had arrived. Friends from college, colleagues from work. But my family, not a single one of them was there. I swallowed hard and tried to force a smile. This was my day. Alex was here. Our love was here. And yet, the absence of my family hung over me like a dark cloud, unrelenting and suffocating. The kiki ceremony passed in a blur. Vows were exchanged. Rings were slid onto fingers, and smiles were plastered onto faces for photos. But when it came time to cut the cake, a 3-tier masterpiece with delicate sugar flowers, it felt surreal. I picked up the knife, Alex by my side, and slowly made the first slice. The room was quiet, the small group of guests clapping politely. But there was a hollow feeling inside me. This wasn't the celebration I had dreamed of. The people who were supposed to be here, my family, were conspicuously absent. And then my phone buzzed, a text message from my mother. Call me, urgent. I stared at it, my fingers frozen over the phone. Urgent. After all this, my chest tightened, my mind raced. Was it guilt, anger, a demand for explanation? I glanced at the cake, then at Alex, who raised an eyebrow, waiting for me to answer. I looked back at the message, and a small, knowing smile formed on my lips. 85 missed calls from my mother. Missed calls? I didn't panic. I didn't hesitate. I put my phone down for a moment, savoring the moment of quiet control. I had endured humiliation, betrayal, and a day without my family's support. But now, the scales were about to tip and I was ready. I looked at Alex. Shall we? I asked, calm, composed. He nodded. We've got this. And in that moment, as I held the knife above the cake, I realized something important. This was my day, and no one, absolutely no one, was going to steal my joy. Asterisk. After staring at my mother's 85 missed calls, I took a deep breath and let a small, calm smile creep across my face. The irony wasn't lost on me. For weeks, I had felt invisible in my own family. My efforts and excitement for my wedding seemingly unimportant compared to my sister's sudden announcement. Yet here they were, panicked, frantic, and realizing that something had shifted. But I wasn't going to rush to answer. Not yet. I had learned early in life that timing is everything. If you respond too soon, you give control back to the person who underestimated you. If you wait, you gain perspective, strategy, and leverage. Rebuilding my calm. Alex noticed my silence and gently took my hand. Are you okay? He asked. His voice was steady, warm, and completely grounding. I'm more than okay, I said, smiling. We're going to enjoy this, and then we'll handle the rest. He raised an eyebrow. The rest? I shook my head slightly, choosing my words carefully. The rest is family business, and trust me, they're going to learn a lesson in patience and humility. We finished the cake ceremony, taking photos with the friends who had attended. Each smile felt genuine, but my mind was already racing ahead. This was not just about a slide or an empty room. This was about reclaiming my agency, asserting my worth, and showing them that underestimating me was a grave mistake. Step 1. The calendar. The afternoon. After the last guest had left, I finally returned my mother's first call. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I sent her a brief text. Call me in 5 minutes. We need to talk. I knew she would be fuming, curious, and anxious. Perfect. When she called, her voice was sharp, almost accusatory. Where have you been? Why didn't you pick up? Do you know what's happened here? I stayed calm. I saw your messages. I saw the missed calls. I also saw Claire's announcement. Mom, we need to talk about priorities and respect. Let's start there, she stammered. But I didn't. Exactly, I interrupted. You didn't show up. You didn't call. And now you're panicking. That's exactly the behavior I expected. There was silence on the other end. She was trying to find words, but my tone was deliberate, controlled. I know Claire is your youngest, your golden girl. I continued softly but firmly. But there's a way to celebrate without stealing someone else's day. Today was supposed to be mine. And yet, I didn't get that. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean. I smiled. Though she couldn't see it, this was the moment of power. I understand. But understanding isn't enough anymore. If you want to make this right, you'll listen carefully, and you'll follow my lead. Step 2. The Levrage hung up the phone and turned to Alex. Here's the plan, I said. Claire thinks she's won. My family thinks I'm desperate. And they're all waiting for me to react emotionally. But I'm not going to. I'm going to turn this around. And they're going to have no choice but to acknowledge my worth. Alex nodded. I trust you. But what exactly is the plan? I leaned over the table, opening my laptop. We're going to play a psychological game. subtle, precise, and undeniable. Step 1. Show my family what they missed without appearing vengeful. Step 2. Create situations where Claire realizes she overstepped. Step 3. Give them a choice: they can respect me or watch the consequences of their oversight. He frowned slightly. That sounds intense, I smiled. It is, and it will work. Step 3. Settle power moves over the next week. I carefully executed the first phase. I posted select, curated photos from the wedding on social media, photos showing elegance, joy, and moments of intimacy that only close friends could appreciate. No captions about family, no explicit complaints, just a visual story that screamed, I had the perfect day. And it didn't need approval from anyone else. Meanwhile, I received text messages from relatives asking why they weren't invited or why they hadn't received updates. I responded politely, neutrally, never revealing my true feelings. Each response reinforced the subtle reality. I controlled the narrative. Claire, of course, noticed. She texted me, casually attempting charm. Hey, saw the photos. The wedding looked great. Sorry I missed it. Can we meet soon? I smiled as I typed my response. Thanks. It was a beautiful day. Let me know when you're free for coffee. Would love to catch up. Nothing aggressive, nothing emotional, just calm, collected, power. Step 4. The subtle sting. The most satisfying part was watching my mother squirm. She began texting daily, sending small, urgent messages disguised as concern. Can we talk? I need your advice on something important. Call me now. Each text came with a silent understanding. I was in control, not her, and each time, I waited, letting the tension build. The psychological effect was instantaneous. My family, who had ignored me, now realized they were chasing me. They had underestimated my composure, my resilience, and my ability to turn their oversight into leverage. Meanwhile, Claire's social media posts grew more frantic. She tried to showcase her engagement party, her new plans, her excitement, but my wedding photos, calm and joyful, kept eclipsing her attempts. People commented more on my elegance, my composure, and the happiness radiating from the day I had thought would be ruined. The first confrontation, it was Thursday afternoon when Claire finally showed up at my apartment, unannounced. I opened the door, and she practically tumbled inside, her manicured hands flailing slightly, her voice high-pitched with forced cheer. Okay, I know we need to talk. I feel terrible about the wedding, and I want to. I held up a hand, calm, composed, but with still beneath my smile. Claire, sit, let's talk. She hesitated, noticing the quiet authority in my voice. This wasn't the sister she had ignored or overshadowed. This was someone completely different, someone confident, serene, and unbothered by her theatrics. I gestured to the couch. You want to talk? Good. But let's start with honesty. Why did you announce your engagement party on the same day as my wedding? She fidgeted. I didn't think. I thought. Exactly, I interrupted. You didn't think. And now you see the consequences? Her face paled slightly. She realized the power dynamic had shifted. She had assumed that by announcing first, or maybe just by being loudest, she would dominate the family's attention. But I had turned the absence into advantage. The days after my wedding were a strange combination of calm triumph and simmering anticipation. My family had finally realized that my wedding had happened without them. And I could feel the tension in every text, every phone call, and every social media comment. But I didn't rush. I didn't react emotionally. I had learned the first lesson of power. Control the timeline, and the other person loses control. Alex and I spent the evenings together, reflecting on the wedding. Each moment of our celebration, captured in perfect photographs, had been carefully shared to ensure that the story reaching my family portrayed joy, elegance, and confidence. I wasn't bitter. I was poised. And that was the difference between me and Claire. Step 1. The invitation twist. It was Tuesday morning when the idea hit me. Claire had been bragging on social media about her engagement party, her new dress, her exclusive guest list, and her perfect setup, the perfect opportunity for me to shift the narrative, I began planning a small, private family gathering, but with a twist. Invitations went out, but not for the reason anyone would expect. I framed it as a casual brunch at a high-end hotel. I included subtle hints that it was something important, a discussion of family milestones, without revealing the real purpose. The key, make them feel the need to show up, but not knowing why. As the RSVPs rolled in, I smiled quietly. My mother accepted, almost desperately. Claire accepted too, trying to appear casual. Every single family member that had ignored my wedding now responded eagerly. Perfect. The trap was set. Step 2. Setting the stage. In the morning of the gathering, I arrived early. The hotel's private dining room had been decorated modestly, but tastefully, every detail reflecting calm authority. Flowers, linens, and table settings were understated. Nothing flashy, but every item whispered elegance and control. I wasn't there to impress. I was there to deliver a lesson in subtle power. Alex helped me with the final touches. You sure this will work? He asked. I smiled. It's not about if it works. It's about letting them realize the mistake themselves. As expected, my family arrived, each one entering nervously. My mother's expression was a mix of guilt and anxiety. Claire tried to project confidence, but her forced smile faltered when she noticed the elegance of the setup and the quiet composure on my face. Step 3. The revelation. Sat down to brunch, and conversation began cautiously. My mother tried to dominate the discussion early, attempting to steer it toward Claire's engagement, but I interrupted gently, calmly. Mom, before we talk about Claire's party, I said softly, I want to show you something. I handed everyone a tablet. A slideshow began playing. The first images were my wedding photos, smiling faces, the cake, Alex, and me cutting it, moments of joy and elegance. Then came the text messages, carefully anonymized, showing the RSVPs or lack thereof from each family member. Silence. Mouths fell open. Claire's eyes widened, realizing what she had done. My mother's hands trembled slightly. This, I said calmly, is what happens when priorities are ignored. My wedding happened, and yet no one came. You might have thought it didn't matter, but it does. Actions or inactions have consequences. The room was silent. No one dared interrupt. I let the images and messages speak for themselves. Step 4. Claire's moment. Claire, trying to regain composure, finally spoke. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. I raised a hand, stopping her. I'm not angry. I'm not here to punish. But this is about understanding boundaries. Your engagement is wonderful, and I wish you happiness. But taking a date without considering others is disrespectful today. I want everyone to understand how choices affect others, even when unintentional. Her face paled further. She understood fully now. For the first time, she realized she had been outmaneuvered without anyone raising their voice, without conflict, and without drama. This was the power of calm authority, the art of letting reality speak louder than words. Step 5. The mother's realization. Finally, my mother spoke, her voice trembling. I never realized. I thought we could attend Claire's party instead. I didn't understand how important this day was to you. I smiled faintly. Mom, you still have a chance to make amends. But it begins with acknowledgement, not excuses. The next time decisions are made, consider the people involved. She nodded, visibly humbled. The lesson had landed. Step 6. The social media advantage. Later that evening, I posted a single photo of the gathering, a subtle, elegant image of Alex and me laughing softly at the table. No captions about family drama, no overt revenge yet. This subtlety spoke volumes. Comments poured in. You look so happy. Absolutely stunning wedding. Family gatherings should always look this joyful. Meanwhile, Claire's posts were overshadowed. People couldn't help but compare the warmth, composure, and elegance of my day to the frantic energy she had tried to cultivate online. The real revenge was quiet, sophisticated, and irreversible. Step 7. The final payoff. Be the end of the week. The family dynamics had shifted. My mother called multiple times, apologizing in earnest. Recognizing her oversight, Claire approached me privately, humbled. Acknowledging the lesson without resentment, I had no desire to humiliate anyone. Publicly, the point wasn't to punish, it was to reclaim control, assert boundaries, and remind them of respect. Alex held my hand the evening as I reflected on the week. You handled that perfectly, he said. I nodded. It's not about perfection. It's about strategy, timing, patience, and calm authority when more battles than anger ever could. Asterisk, the morning of the family brunch had already set the stage for what I had been planning for weeks. At the real climax, the final, undeniable twist was still to come. I had already shown my family the consequences of their choices. I had demonstrated calm authority, strategic control, and unshakable poise. Now, it was time for the ultimate payoff. Asterisk, I arrived at the venue early, just as I had for the previous gatherings. The hotel's private dining room was set for a small brunch, but this time, every detail carried significance. The flowers were arranged in subtle hints of my wedding colors. The table linens bore an understated elegance. Even the seating plan had been curated to maximize the impact of each reaction. Alex looked at me curiously. You're sure about this? I smiled faintly. Absolutely. Today isn't about my sister, or even my mother. It's about control, perception, and timing. Watch carefully. Asterisk, we began with small talk, polite, casual, and controlled. I deliberately positioned myself at the head of the table, not to dominate, but to signal authority. My mother tried to steer the conversation, but I gently redirected it. Mom, before we discuss Claire's upcoming party, I want to revisit a few things from recent events, specifically my wedding. The room fell silent. Even Claire, who had been attempting forced cheerfulness, looked momentarily uncomfortable. I held everyone's gaze. I sent out my invitations first. My wedding date was June 12th. 2 weeks later, Claire announced her engagement party on the same day. No one came. Not a single family member. My friends, colleagues, and Alex were there, but none of you. Asterisk, I pulled out an envelope. I want to show you something. Inside were photographs of the wedding, meticulously arranged to highlight moments of elegance, joy, and subtle triumph. But there was another twist. They weren't just images. Alongside each photo were comments from distant friends and colleagues, praising the beauty, the emotion, and the attention to detail. Each comment subtly contrasted with the absence of family members. Silence. Claire's face turned pale. My mother's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her coffee. The impact was immediate. Without raising my voice, without drama, the truth hit them like a hammer. This is what happens, I continued, voice calm but firm. When priorities are ignored, actions or inactions have consequences. Today, you are witnessing the direct result of your choices. I had one final move. And now, I said, reaching into my purse, I'd like to share something else. I handed my mother a small gift box. Inside was a wedding keepsake, a crystal figurine engraved with my and Alex's names and wedding date. A beautiful, thoughtful gift. She looked at me, confused. What? Why? Because, I said, calmly meeting her eyes. I forgive, but I also want you to understand that presence, attention, and support mean more than words. It's not enough to care silently or send thoughts after the fact. You missed the day. You can't take it back, but you can learn. As I had predicted, subtlety worked better than anger. Later that evening, I posted a single, elegant photo of Alex and me holding the crystal keepsake, smiling softly. A day of love, joy, and unforgettable memories. Grateful for those who shared it with us. No drama, no anger. But the indirect effect was devastating for Claire. Her engagement posts, previously the center of attention, now paled in comparison. Comments poured in for my wedding elegance, pies, and composure quietly overshadowing her flashy announcements. The psychological effect was immediate. Claire tried to maintain her social media charm offensive, But comparisons were inevitable. She realized the mistake she had made publicly, subtly, and irrevocably. Later that night, Claire approached me privately. Her demeanor was entirely different, humble, tentative, and shocked. I didn't realize, she said softly. I thought my engagement would just, happen. I never meant to overshadow you. I smiled faintly. It's not about intention. It's about awareness. Today, you understand that timing, consideration, and respect are more powerful than announcement or visibility. I didn't need a confrontation. I just needed you to see the results of your choices. She nodded, silently acknowledging the lesson. By the end of the week, the dynamics had shifted completely. My mother and other relatives were calling regularly, apologizing, acknowledging their oversight, and seeking ways to make amends. Claire approached me several times, no longer with bravado, but with genuine respect and humility. And Alex, he simply held my hand and whispered, "You did it. You won." Elegantly, silently, and completely. I realized something important. Revenge doesn't always have to be dramatic. True power is subtle, quiet, and irrefutable. My family had learned the lesson without anger, without shouting, and without humiliation. They had internalized it through observation and consequence. Weeks later, my mother called again. This time, her tone was entirely different, calm, reflective, and apologetic. "Can we talk? I want to make things right," she said. I smiled, holding my phone loosely. "Of course, Mom. But understand this: the respect, attention, and presence I deserve will no longer be optional. Choices have consequences. Remember that." She paused. I understand." I hung up, knowing that the final twist wasn't just about the wedding or Claire's engagement. It was about reclaiming agency, establishing boundaries, and asserting control. And I had done it flawlessly. From that day forward, my family understood one undeniable truth: underestimating me had consequences. Respect, timing, and composure were not optional, and I was the one setting the rules. As I looked through the photos of my wedding and the family brunch, I realized that the ultimate victory wasn't revenge, wealth, or attention. It was power regained, dignity preserved, and boundaries established. Claire, my mother, even the rest of the family, they had learned the lesson, not with anger, not with confrontation, but with the quiet, unshakable truth: my day, my choice, my power. And somewhere in that quiet victory, I smiled, knowing that they would never forget it.